Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. Now, let's dive into today's tale. Step into vengeance with Lyra. We're done being your ATM, Dad barked, his tone dripping with smug triumph. He stood there, arms crossed, eyes glinting with the thrill of landing a knockout punch in a battle I never signed up for. Mom stayed silent, delicately sipping her tea, pinky raised like she was royalty, observing me as I gathered my books from the kitchen table, like I was some stranger who'd overstayed my welcome. No heads up, no compassion, just banishment. Their verdict was served alongside scorched toast and orange juice. You're 23. Time to grow up. We've done more than enough. Be grateful for what you got. By 10:04 a.m., I was out on the curb, duffel bag in hand, one sandal cracked, phone battery dead. But by 4:17 p.m., my phone hummed to life, charged at a gas station diner. A text from Jonathan, the family's longtime trust advisor, popped up. Hey, Isla. They've requested their usual $15,000 monthly transfer. Approve as always. I stared at the screen, a grin creeping across my face. I typed one word, denied. I'm Isla Hart, 23 years old, and if you think you know how this story ends, stick around. What happens when the people who raised you forget your true value, and you hold the power to remind them? They thought they'd slam the door on me. They didn't know I held the keys to every lock in the house. And believe me, I was just warming up. I didn't sleep that night, not out of heartbreak, but because my mind was racing, plotting. Their words echoed like a bad radio signal. We're not your ATM. You owe us gratitude. We gave up so much for you. As if my existence was a bill they expected me to settle. But here's the secret they never grasped. The trust wasn't theirs. It was mine. My grandfather, Mom's estranged father, had left it all to me when he passed. Not a dime for them. They didn't know that when they cut me off, they were slicing their own lifeline. Jonathan had kept it under wraps, per Grandpa's legal orders. I gained full control the moment I turned 23, 3 days earlier. So when I typed denied, I wasn't just blocking their allowance. I was appending the table they'd been feasting at for years. The next morning, I settled into a modest downtown apartment, leased in my name. No roommates, no chaos, just me for walls and quiet strength. By Friday, Mom texted, Isla, darling, your dad's heart medication is out at the usual pharmacy. Could you help? She didn't finish the thought. She didn't need to. They'd grown so accustomed to me bankrolling their every luxury. They forgot I had boundaries. Or maybe they thought I didn't. I shot back one line. Maybe it's time you grow up. You're 52. Then I powered off my phone. That night, I lit a candle, not for serenity, but for remembrance. I wouldn't forget the silence that followed, the quiet of people realizing their cash machine had learned to say no. By Sunday, they were in a frenzy. My inbox pinged like a smoke detector. Polite panic, cloaked in proper grammar. Subject line screamed, quick question. Family check-in. Smiley face. Just wondering about the mortgage. Mortgage? I nearly chuckled. They'd used my trust to refinance their second vacation home. The one with the hot tub and the live, laugh, love plaque in the bathroom. Now they expected my generosity to keep it afloat. I forwarded every email to Jonathan. He knew the drill. No more automatic approvals, no more backdoors, no more deception. Then came the kicker. I stumbled across spreadsheets in an old Dropbox folder Jonathan shared, labeled historical transactions. Line after line of Hart Estate expenses, $8,700 for Mom's spa getaway, $4,200 for Dad's Vegas business seminar, $19,600 for new furniture, $2,100 for a private school donation in my name, to a school I'd never heard of. They treated me like a walking credit card while scolding me for asking for basic help in college, preaching about fiscal responsibility. So, I started drafting a letter, not to them, but to every relative they still tried to dazzle. Aunt Carol, Uncle Bennett, Cousin Shelby with her lake house, they'd all get a copy. Not spiteful, just truthful, illuminating. Attached would be a calm explanation of why Mom and Dad's social calendar might soon tighten, paired with a ledger of every luxury they'd funded with their daughter's future. But I wouldn't send it yet. Not until they pushed one step too far. And trust me, they always did. It happened on a Wednesday. An unknown number called. I let it ring. Moments later, a voicemail. I played it on speaker while brushing my hair. Hi, Isla, it's Pastor Reynolds. I've been asked to officiate your parents' vow renewal this Sunday. I hear you're covering the reception costs again. So generous. My comb stopped cold. Reception costs again. I checked my banking app, nothing touched. Then I logged into the trust backend. There it was, a pending $11,500 catering deposit for heart vow renewal. Approved by Dad 2 days after his We're Not Your ATM lecture. I stared, stunned, then laughed. A hollow, throat-caught laugh. He had the gall to call me entitled while dipping his fingers into funds that weren't his. Jonathan had flagged the transaction, waiting for my approval. I clicked reject. Then, on a whim, I emailed Pastor Reynolds, Dear Pastor, there's been a mix-up. I'm not attending the vow renewal, nor am I funding it. Wishing them a heartfelt celebration. Best Isla Heart. 2 hours later, Mom texted, Why would you humiliate us like this? Do you know how this makes us look? The family will talk, Isla. I read her words and replied, Then give them something worth gossiping about. The air felt different. Something had shattered, not just in them, but in me. This wasn't defiance anymore. It was taking back what was mine. Thursday morning brought silence. No texts, no calls, no digital outbursts, just quiet, which for my parents was its own battle cry. I went for a walk to ease the tension, but halfway through the park, my phone buzzed. Jonathan again. Hey, Isla. Just got a notice from the family attorney. Your parents are requesting to restructure the trust, claiming financial dependence due to parental investment and long-term caregiving. Want me to block it? My breath hitched. They weren't just asking for money now. They were trying to rewrite the past, painting themselves as selfless saints owed compensation for every diaper, every piano lesson, every sacrifice they cataloged in their mental ledger. It was absurd, except it wasn't. This wasn't about cash. It was about control. Losing it was driving them to desperation. I told Jonathan to move forward legally. Full audit, distribution records, inheritance timeline. Paper trails don't lie. People do. And my parents were experts at smiling while carving you up. I knew their next move would be public. That's their playbook. Shame through theatrics, manipulation through performance. So I braced for the storm, locked my social media, archived every email, every bank receipt, and printed them in neat chronological order. If they wanted a stage, I'd build the spotlight myself. And when they stepped into it, they'd face no script, no cheers, just truth and sharp edges. Sunday came, their vow renewal, their grand performance. I didn't go, naturally, but I watched the live stream. Yes, they live streamed it. Mom in a shimmering champagne dress, Dad in a smug tux, fiddling with his cufflinks like he still called the shots. Cousins clapped, friends posted stories, and old family acquaintances commented. Such a beautiful testament to love. Commitment always prevails. They didn't know the caterer had bailed. The florist was suing over a bounced check, or the venue was locked when guests arrived because I'd cut off their pipeline. They couldn't draw from a well they'd publicly poisoned. But they masked the chaos, grinned through it, sipped sparkling cider like it was Dom Perignon. They kept up the act until Monday, when I mailed the letter, printed, bound, sent to every guest. Inside was a composed statement detailing my withdrawal from family financial ties. No venom, no theatrics, just facts. Bank statements, screenshots, emails, receipts. At the end, a personal note. Love doesn't demand repayment. Manipulation does. I've chosen to walk away from both. By Tuesday, the family group chat was chaos. Cousin Shelby texted. They said you were unhinged. But this is surgical. Uncle Bennett called just to say you did right, kid. Mom called 12 times. I didn't pick up. Not yet. I was letting the silence speak louder than my words ever could. Wednesday morning, a knock at my door. I peeked through the peephole. Jonathan, not in his usual suit, but in jeans and a hoodie. Thought I'd deliver this in person, he said, handing me a manila envelope. Inside, A handwritten letter from Dad. No apology, not even close. Just we're disappointed. We raised you better. Money isn't everything, Isla. Family is. You'll regret this when we're gone. Signed, Dad. No warmth, no love, just guilt dressed as legacy. I folded it once, then again, into a perfect square of nothing. I tucked it into a drawer, not for nostalgia, but as a reminder. Then I looked at Jonathan. Ready? I asked. He nodded. We headed to the estate attorney's office. I'd requested a meeting to amend the trust. A new clause, effective immediately. If I passed before 40, the funds wouldn't revert to my parents. They'd go to a scholarship for girls from emotionally manipulative homes, a direct rewrite of their narrative, one they couldn't erase. That night, I lit another candle, not for memory, but for release. The house I grew up in was never a home. It was a vault with chandeliers. Now I had something better. Solitude, stability, silence, the kind that doesn't punish, just exists. Mom texted at midnight. One day you'll understand what it's like to be a parent. I stared at the screen, then turned off my phone. The real inheritance wasn't money, it was freedom. And I wasn't giving it back. Fall arrived, painting the trees gold and my soul calm. I started volunteering at a community legal aid office. Nothing glamorous, just listening to people like me. People made to feel like a burden for existing. One afternoon, I sat across from Marcy, 18. Tears dried on her cheeks. My mom says I'm ungrateful, that I tanked her credit, but she used my name to buy a car. I reached into my bag and handed her something, not money, not tissues, but a document, a blank template for financial boundaries and personal agency, signed with authority, labeled yours. It was the same form I'd filed months ago, the first step I took to stop being a vessel for someone else's greed. Marcy looked up, a spark of hope cutting through her fatigue. That's when I realized revenge doesn't always roar. Sometimes it murmurs, in courtrooms, in scholarships, in blank pages given to someone who thinks their story is finished. I never went back home. I didn't need to. They still throw parties, still pose for photos with names they once used to belittle me. But something's changed. The invitations stopped. The emergency calls went quiet. For the first time, they were truly alone, not because I left, but because I stopped bankrolling their facade. Justice didn't come as vengeance. It arrived wrapped in boundaries, delivered with clarity, sealed with truth. That evening, in my small apartment, candle glowing, tea in hand, I felt it. Not anger, not sadness, just peace, hard-earned.